is the whole NSA, AT&T debacle that's going on, and the basic suspension of habeas corpus, which I mentioned with the presidential authority to deem U.S. citizens as enemy combatants and say you don't get a trial, you don't get anything, and we can do everything that we want to you, and you can't say shit about it. You know, with that, you can basically say that tonight we should all party like it's 1984. It's kind of creepy. Now, I wasn't unique or alone in these predictions, and I'm not claiming to be the Cassandra of the internet. If you catch the literary reference there, you know, where no one actually believes your predictions until after they come true. But there are many of us that are saying these things and that no one really believes. But I'm still going to get up here in spite of all that and deliver some more bad news to you guys. Okay? Got some more predictions. Now, first I want to provide a little bit of technological background for my bad news. And the poor souls of you that have followed some of my previous rantings may recognize some of these little tidbits, but they do kind of follow a logical flow. And since so many of you are new to Toorcon, you know, welcome to my crazy world. Now, as you know, the intelligent community is more advanced from a technological standpoint than the private sector. Okay, we're going to take that as a given. All right, because there's things that they do have that are classified. Now, the exact question is how much. You know, being in the business, this business of security, and attending and speaking at numerous conventions, I've come to know a number of individuals from the spook world, and I've shared my thoughts and listened to what they have to say, and the estimate as to how many years ahead of the private sector the more classified and more secretive parts of the government range anywhere from 3 to 40 years ahead of the private sector. Now, when you're talking about such technologies as you know, like magnetic encased faster than light aircraft and reverse engineering UFOs, the 40-year marks is probably pretty dead on right there. But I'm not going to go off as I have at previous Toorcons on UFOs on this particular talk. I'm sorry, I've done it before. I'm not going to do that this year. But get into that whole kook area again. But I want to talk in some realistic terms I think we all can identify with. Okay, so we have some things that we think the man, for lack of a better term, can do. And let's try to discuss some of these. I'll first talk about PGP. Now, to this day, Zimmerman, I don't even think will even speak to me because he thinks I'm retarded, okay, about this. But basically what it is there's a lot. I've spoken to a number of ex-spooks, including one that claims to actually have taught the technique. Ex-spooks have stated that PGP can be decrypted due to a flaw in the protocol. They say that the actual algorithms themselves are fairly, you know, they do what they say they do, but it's just the protocol itself used in the process, that there is a flaw in that process that allows the U.S. government to actually break this. Now, supposedly, the fact that PGP can be decrypted is not classified, but the technique by which you can decrypt PGP is the part that's classified. And then supposedly, not just the U.S. government knows about it, but also you know, probably, we don't have anyone here from the UK, I don't think, unless they wandered in late. No one's in Corey's talk from the UK, but at least the UK probably has the technology. Supposedly the Israelis have figured it out as well, and you can just bet that there's probably one or two others. China's probably stolen it from one of the aforementioned. So there you have it. That's, again, just like I said, just kind of bear that one in mind. Let that one kind of just seep in for a second. Symmetric encryption and stream ciphers. The claims on these are fairly disturbing themselves. Supposedly AES, while very strong, can be broken. Now remember, we're talking about someone that has a whole lot more computing power and capability years ahead of where we are at right now. Okay? The worst one that I've heard, this is the one that actually kind of really gave me a start, was that not only is SSL, speaking of stream ciphers, not only is SSL broken, but it can be cracked in real time at OC48 speeds. That's the more or less confirmed. Like I said, all these things I'm talking about, I've been trying to confirm the data from more than one source within the spook realm. So, and this was, oh, by the way, the OC48 speeds, that was about 4.5 years ago. Okay, so it's, maybe they can do it at, with an even bigger pipe. Everything is monitored. Now, this is one I had previously stated in public rantings that I believed all internet traffic was being monitored. And this was due mainly to my conversations and interactions with the spook community and in my line of questioning. And, not only did the whole AT&T NSA thing not surprise me, it was one of these moments where I'm able to go to my friends and say, look, I told you so. I was right. And of course, I still think that the actual reality of it, I think, is just the whole NSA AT&T thing. I think it's just the mere tip of the iceberg. I think that's just a drop in the bucket. They'll shut that part down, and there's like enough redundancy built into that whole thing that everything's still going to get monitored anyway. So basically, everything that can be monitored probably is being monitored. Absolutely everything. As I've stated in previous talks, in 1996, at a convention, not really a security convention, but at a convention where it was thought by the speakers to be devoid of reporters, when in fact one reporter was in the audience. A couple of individuals who worked for the government were lecturing on the CIA capabilities on the internet. Keep in mind this is 1996, all right? They stated they had not only installed a large number of remailers around the globe. This is in the mid-90s. Remailers were actually fairly popular, and as a thing where I could send a message to this box, and have stuff kind of pseudo encoded in a certain way. So when it hits the box, it's decoded and sent on to its destination. So therefore, it's anonymous mail. And so what the CIA was claiming was that they had set up numerous anonymous remailers under the pretext of, hey, everybody, let's fight the man. Here's an anonymous remailer. And I'm providing my services for free, so here you go. And they also claimed that the two largest free email services on the internet, they ran. Okay? Now, in 1996, the two largest free email services on the internet, doing this part, this is a fun part for me. It's kind of scary. The two largest ones were, at the time, USA.net and Hotmail.com. Okay? Now, I have spoken, there's a couple of people that are kind of like, no, not Hotmail.com. That's owned by Microsoft now. Well, it used to not be owned by Microsoft. It used to be owned by a CIA front company. And they're the ones that put the whole thing together. And I'll just let you think about how that could have possibly become Microsoft property. How much of the access do they still have? And they had access to everybody's inbox on that, okay? Now, I have had confirmation out of all the little goofy rumors that I have heard, speaking with spooks and stuff, this is the one that I've had confirmed the most number of times. Not only by people that are current spooks, former spooks, government contractors, and I was looking around, there's actually someone I was kind of hoping was going to be here at this conference that usually sits in the first 2 or 3 rows. I was going to ask her to say, yes, I'm not, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Who's also said the exact same thing, has actually confirmed it. All right. This is bullshit. little, because you're saying, okay, how does this guy come up with this, goofy shit, okay? I could just tell you it's all bullshit and you guys could rest easy and won't be so scared. You'll be able to sleep better at night. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, I'll give you an example. This is a small example. It's not really a big critical thing, and it's kind of a funny story. So I'm going to try to maybe lighten it up here a little bit for you. This was DEF CON about, I think it was in 2000. And you know how you're at cons and there's like, the circle of people that's all talking about stuff, and then a couple of people walk up and maybe you know them and maybe you don't know them, and then a couple of people walk away and so forth and so on. And I was in one of those little circles of people that kept morphing, the conversation kept changing. And it kept slowly dwindling down until it was just three of us. It was myself, a Fed that worked in a department, I never figured out what department he worked in, another Fed who was currently assigned to, I believe, the NRO, and then but both of them had previously worked with the Secret Service. And they had a whole bunch of mutual friends that were still over there. And the funny thing about it was that the guy on my left thought I was with the guy on the right, and the guy on the right thought I was with the guy on the left. So I'm kind of baiting the conversation as we're going along. And the conversation is talking about what they referred to as shit detail. And shit detail was, in fact, protecting the President of the United States, who at the time was Bill Clinton. And they're telling this story about how one of the guys said, because his buddy was talking about how he was heading out over to where the pool was. They're walking around on the White House and the property. They're heading out over where the pool was, and Hillary Clinton was in the pool, naked, with another woman who was naked. In fact, she was Marky Post from TV's Night Court, if you all are fans of Night Court. So apparently those two are naked in the pool together, and when he walks up, they get out of the pool and they run off, and and so it's like this big mess, and he's so disgusted because he has to help protect the Clintons from themselves, because his job is to protect the president. So he's got to protect the president every time the president and the president's wife do something stupid. So if they're like having coke parties or smoking pot or whatever it is that they're doing, he's got to protect them from, because he's got to protect the office. So they have to kind of turn a blind eye to any crimes they see committed. So talking about how horrible it was. Now, this is also around the same time that, what was that movie that had Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones? Men in Black, thank you, Men in Black. And of course, one of the funny parts in the movie is, of course, when they say, hey, let's hit the hot sheets, let's see what's going on, and they go and they grab all of the National Enquirer and all these rag papers, and Tommy Lee Jones is saying, best investigative journalism on the planet, and all this other kind of stuff, talking about how great these things are. Well, what's funny is that I don't know how many of you are aware of this, and you can guys can go and look this up, that the people that started American Media Corporation, again, is our folks in the CIA. In fact, on the resume of the guys that helped form American Media Corporation, it actually lists their employment as members of the CIA, that's previous jobs that they held. They leave the CIA, they start American Media Corporation. American Media Corporation